Great. Welcome, everybody. It's great to see more people pouring in. Please do just write in the chat, say hello, say where you're from. Fantastic. We're so looking forward to this session. Great to have you all joining. Keep on pouring in. Hello, Barry in Kilkenny, Patricia teaching on the circular economy, Ricky in Kentucky, Cecilia in Germany, Lai in Finland, Jakob in Denmark, Shamsa from Northern California, Jan from Norway, Rob from Germany, Minal. Great to have you all joining us. Keep on coming in, people. We have got 1 hour together. It's going to go fast. We've got a lot we want to share. And we're really delighted to have you joining us from all over the world. So I'm Kate Raworth. I'm the author of Doughnut Economics, and really, really delighted to be in the collaboration with Rethinking Economics International. Let me quickly introduce the co-host of this session, Ross Cathcart.
Hi, everybody. Welcome. My name's Ross. I am part of the Rethinking Economics International team, and I've been working with Kate and Deal for quite a few months now, and we are giddy, ready to launch these resources and the campaign attached.
Fantastic. So we've got some fantastic speakers lined up for you today who we're really, really delighted who are joining us, some who are teaching Doughnut Economics, some who are students campaigning to be taught Doughnut Economics, and of course we've got all of you joining. So much experience, so much possibility that we together can become the beginnings of a community of peer inspiration to each other. So I'm going to kick this off by just talking a little bit about these materials and what it is we are launching today. When I wrote Doughnut Economics, and it came out in 2017, some academics very quickly started sending messages on Twitter saying things like, I'm using Doughnut Economics as the core textbook of the module I'm teaching. And I thought, wow, I never imagined that. I didn't write it imagining that it would ever be adopted as a teaching module. And they were finding these animations. I'd worked with brilliant animators making 90-second animations for each of the 7 ways to think that are set out in the book. And I thought, and they were saying, these are great, really brilliant to bring them into the class. And I thought, well, wouldn't it be amazing if there were more materials that were available? How are people teaching it? How are they integrating it? What are we doing? And then 2 years ago, just after Herman Daly, one of the founding fathers of ecological economics, passed away, I was teaching a 90-minute lecture on Doughnut Economics to students in Oxford University. And at the end of it, some of the students came rushing up to me and they just said, why isn't this the economics that's taught to every student studying economics? And there was something about the fact that Herman Daly had just died and these students were demanding it. And I thought, why don't we just do this? So together with the students there, the Rethinking Economics students in Oxford, we put on a guerrilla course in Doughnut Economics. It was an 8-week course. It was open to any student who'd come to this city to study economics of any kind. And it was just teaching Doughnut Economics week by week. And so it was an amazing opportunity that pushed me and pulled me to actually develop slides for each of the 7 ways to think that are set out in the book. And I did it always knowing that this isn't just for the students who happen to be at a university in Oxford. This is the beginnings of something that we want to share online with students and academics worldwide. And over the last year, we've turned that very basic deck into something that we want to share today. So I'm going to jump in and share my screen and show you what we've got for you. Let me see, how do I do this? So I'm just going to share my whole screen here. This is the webpage that we've created, Doughnut Economics for University Courses. It's teaching materials for educators and students. And actually that photograph that you can see there on the screen was taken at that guerrilla course in Doughnut Economics that we taught in Oxford University, together with the Rethinking Economics students of Oxford. So what's on this page, launching together Doughnut Economics and Rethinking Economics, is a drop-down menu you can see here of the 7 ways to think like a 21st century economist. And these 7 ways that you're seeing, these are the 7 chapters set out in the book. And for each of them, we've gone in. I'm going to just take one of them, the one that's chapter 2, see the big picture. So if we go in here, we click on that and it drops down. We get a very short paragraph which summarizes what this chapter's about. We get a little clip of the diagrams, a little summary of the topics that are addressed in this section. So if you're looking for something, somebody is teaching, I don't know, if you're thinking about moving beyond the circular flow diagram to the embedded economy diagram, aha, it's here. We can find that. Then it takes you to options to download a slide deck. And those are available either in PowerPoint or in Google Slides. Now, I'm not going to download the slide deck right now. I'm going to show you one I downloaded earlier. This is the Google Slides. And what you can see is it takes us in and gives us a short contents overview of what's here. But the idea of this slide deck is it's not a lecture. It's way too much to just cover in one lecture. And it's not written as if it would be taught from beginning to end. What you can see is a little cluster of modular slides. So each subsection, the power of visual models, there's 5 slides there that you can use to introduce that, or revisiting the classic circular flow diagram in economics, revisiting that diagram and then showing what's missing from it. Some of the conceptual foundations of neoliberalism, how we can reframe ecological economics, some core concepts. So we've got about 8 slides there of the core concepts of ecological economics. Some of these slides introduce the concepts, and some of them, like this one down here, slide 44, point you towards amazing resources that have been made by other people working in this space. So these slide decks are both direct teaching materials, but also think of them as a portal, an entry point to resources that have been created by ecological economists, feminist economists, complexity theory, so many different schools of thought. We wanted to point you to existing brilliant work that is available for free on the internet for everybody. So you've got the slide deck. This one is how many slides long? It's about 70 slides long. There's Jayati Ghosh doing a brilliant series of videos introducing feminist economics. So we're pointing you in lots of directions. Let me come back to the web page it's sitting in. So that's the slide deck you can download in PowerPoint or Google Slides. And then underneath that are lots of reading resources and activities and videos and blogs. Some of them are journal articles, but some of them are much shorter pieces. So you can go in for a deep dive. And it's, again, divided into small subsections. So on the origins of that old circular flow diagram, a few resources on the neoliberal narrative, lots of resources on exploring the foundations of ecological economics. And each one, it gives a link to the piece of work. Almost all of these are free and available now online. And then gives a very short description of what that is. So we're hoping to make this really useful to anybody who's looking for teaching materials, give you a quick introduction to what it is that we're sharing here. And it goes on household and feminist economics, on the market, on the commons. Of course, we could add and add to these lists. We've tried to point people towards some of the foundational concepts that shaped Doughnut Economics. Now, let me come back up to the top here. There's a little section which is a welcome and a background explaining what this is about. But crucially, there's this section here. Please share your feedback and connect with peer educators. We would hugely value your feedback on these slides. They are not complete. There may be errors in them. We would absolutely love it if you would give us feedback through this very simple feedback form we've created, just telling us, you know, actually that needs correcting, or there's a key concept missing here, or giving us suggestions or how we could improve on this. This is just the first iteration we wanted to put out into the world. What else could we do? How else could it be improved? And you can see here that we're inviting academics who want to incorporate these, but also want to connect with other academics. How are you actually teaching these? How are you integrating them into your own slide decks? You can join an academic community of practice here. Or if you're a student who wants to see ideas like these brought into your university education, you can join the student campaign here, which Ross will be telling us more about in a moment. So that gives you a quick overview of this webpage that we are thrilled to be launching right here today. 7 ways to think like a 21st century economist. I'm really conscious that it's currently all in English, but the slides are adaptable. So you could go in and translate them directly if you want. But how could we build on this? I mean, how can we make them available in multiple languages? What would be a smart way of doing that? How could we bring in other ideas that people are sharing? I invite you to put in the chat box any questions, any suggestions, any ideas for what could happen next with these resources that we are going to keep on curating and improving. There have been so many fantastic books, papers, videos that have been published since Doughnut Economics came out. It's been a joy to collate them and start bringing them into these slide decks and resource reading lists. But of course, there's going to be many more. So how could you advise us to curate and keep building on and improving these resources? So I'm going to stop sharing there, and I'll put the link to that webpage in the chat box later in the session. But now I want to turn to practice. It's been a real honor to work with academics, lecturers, professors who have got in touch and said, actually, I'm already teaching this, or I want to teach this, or I'm really looking forward to integrating these kinds of ideas into my teaching. We've designed them to be as easy as possible to integrate, to make as low as possible that barrier to teaching a new concept or teaching a new subject. But I'm really delighted to introduce today two people who are already doing that. And just to hear briefly from them why they find these ideas important and how they're bringing it, or how they look forward to bringing these kinds of concepts into their teaching. So I'm going to kick off by introducing Jacob Rask. He is an amazing change maker in Denmark and also a lecturer at Roskilde University. So Jacob, over to you. Please tell us about how you've been engaging with the concepts of Doughnut Economics and bringing them into your teaching.
Thank you very much, Kate. Can everyone hear and see me well? Yes. All right. How I've been engaging, I could spend a whole hour on it, because 10 years ago I went to England because I was an environmental scientist who kept being told by economists that it wasn't cost efficient to save the living planet, or indeed humanity. So I thought I have to understand the mother tongue of public policy, as you called economics. So I went to England, and there I met Doughnut Economics. The book wasn't out yet, but I saw these very, very early slides, not anything as beautiful as what we are presented with today. And then I went back home to Denmark and started teaching first at folk high schools, which was because there the curriculum is open and free, so I could teach Doughnut Economics in that context. And then it became more well known, it became, Doughnut Economics became exactly that synthesis of all the schools of economics that I had been studying and been fascinated with, like ecological, feminist, institutional economics, but which when I came back to Denmark, which would take hours to explain people what is it that I've learned. So the Doughnut became an easy way to say it's that thing, and Doughnut Economics became this kind of synthesis of these ideas. And I think that's why we're all here today, and that's why it's spreading in that way. And I started using the materials already. In my course, I teach an introduction to economics for around 200 undergraduates every year.